Something is rearranging my apartment while I'm gone.
A lifetime of control can make disorder feel like freedom. Tonight, something waits at the far end of that road.
I came home at 1 a.m. and my entire apartment had been rearranged. Not robbed, not trashed. Perfect. The couch was moved. The pictures were straightened. Even my shoes were lined up like someone had taken the time to fix everything I'd done wrong. And the worst part? It looked exactly like my mother would have done it. My name is Riley Bennett. I'm 22 years old, fresh out of college, and for the first time in my life, I am finally, completely on my own. I grew up in a big house with everything handed to me. Mom and Dad are the kind of parents who just want the best for their daughter, which meant constant opinions, constant money, constant meddling. After graduation, I told them I was done. I turned down their offer to pay for an apartment in a nicer part of town. I rejected the starter fund they tried to give me. I wanted to prove I could survive without them constantly hovering, fixing, and judging. So I found the cheapest decent apartment I could afford on my 2 part-time jobs, one at a coffee shop, one at a bookstore. It's a tiny 1-bedroom on the 3rd floor of an old brick building. The paint is chipped, the faucet drips, and the neighbor's music comes through the walls at night. I love it. Every uncomfortable inch of it feels like victory, especially because of the cute guy living next door. His name is Alex. He's 24, works at the record store downtown, and has this easy, crooked smile that makes my stomach do little flips every time we pass each other in the hallway. We've only had a few short conversations, mostly about the broken washer in the basement or how loud the pipes are, but I've caught myself looking forward to those little moments. It's nice to have something normal and exciting in my new independent life. At least, until things started changing. Let me explain. The first week was exhausting, but good. I was unpacking, organizing, and enjoying the quiet thrill of not hearing Mom's voice in my head telling me I was doing it wrong. Then the little things started happening. One morning I woke up and my keys weren't on the kitchen counter where I tossed them the night before. They were on the hook by the door. I stared at them for a long minute, shrugged, and told myself I must have been more tired than I thought after my closing shift. A couple days later, my favorite chipped blue mug, the one I drink coffee out of every single morning, was in the top right cabinet. That's exactly where my mother would have insisted the nice dishes go. I never put it there. I hate that cabinet. I moved the mug back down to the lower shelf where it belongs. Then my shoes started appearing perfectly aligned by the door every night, toes touching the wall like soldiers. I never line them up like that. I usually kick them off halfway across the room. Each time I saw them like that, I felt a little twist in my stomach, but I pushed it down. I was stressed. I was sleep-deprived. Moving is hard. That was all. I kept telling myself that. Until last Thursday. I worked a brutal double shift and didn't get home until almost 1 in the morning. The second I opened the door, I knew something was deeply wrong. The entire living room had been rearranged. The couch was pushed against the far wall. The TV stand had been moved to the opposite corner. All my cheap prints were rehung at perfect, even heights with perfect spacing. The throw pillows I'd tossed wherever they landed were now fluffed and angled exactly the way my mother used to arrange our formal living room back home. Even the little side table with my dying plant had been rotated to catch the best light from the window. Nothing was stolen, nothing was broken. It was just perfected, improved, controlled. I stood in the middle of the room with my heart hammering so hard I could feel it in my teeth. My hands were shaking. I whispered out loud, "This isn't funny. Whoever the hell is doing this, stop it right now. Of course, no one answered. My next thought was, the only person who would invade my privacy like this would be my mother. I called my mom. It went straight to voicemail. I left her a sharp, angry message. Mom, if you're paying someone to mess with my apartment to prove your point, you need to stop. I'm serious. Leave me alone. I spent the next several hours furiously rearranging everything back the way I wanted it, shoving the couch where it belonged, rehanging pictures crooked on purpose, throwing the pillows on the floor. By the time I finished, I was exhausted, but felt like I had taken control again. The next morning, my mom called me back, sounding genuinely confused. Riley, what are you talking about? I've never even been to your new apartment. I hung up on her. That night, I came home from work and the apartment was rearranged again. Same perfect mom layout, everything exactly as it had been the night before. This time, I didn't hesitate. I drove to the store at 2 a.m. and bought the cheapest security camera they had. I set it up on the shelf above the TV, pointed straight at the living room, and spoke directly into the lens like a crazy person. If someone is fucking with me, I'm going to catch you. The next evening, I came home from work, and the apartment was rearranged again. Same perfect mom layout. I didn't even put my bag down. I grabbed my laptop, sat on the floor with my back against the wall, and opened the footage with trembling fingers. I fast-forwarded until 6:47 p.m. There I was, walking through the door in the same clothes I'd left for work in. Then I started moving furniture. Inexplicably, I watched myself rearrange the whole living room. The image of me was lifting the heavy couch like it weighed nothing. I rearranged every single piece with terrifying, mechanical precision, measuring distances with my hands, adjusting picture frames by millimeters. My face never changed expression. No strain, no confusion, just cold, perfect efficiency. I was whispering the entire time. I turned the volume all the way up. Everything has its place. Everything has its place. On the screen, the other me finished the last pillow, turned slowly, and walked straight up to the camera until her face filled the frame. She stared directly into the lens. Her eyes, my eyes, flashed a dull, sick red. Then she smiled. A slow, wide, satisfied smile I have never made in my entire life. I stared at the screen. Then slowly, I looked up. The room was exactly as it had been in the footage. Perfect. At that exact second, as I sat on the floor watching, I noticed something move in the corner of my eye. A shadow that looked exactly like me stepped forward. It tilted its head and said,
"Everything's where it belongs now."
My jaw dropped in a silent scream as I felt a coldness overtake my body. The lights flickered once, then went completely dark.